I used to carry a 9mm all the time. A little bit of failure is what makes you stronger. Recycle your pain. You can't just say, okay, let's pull up my bootstraps and let's do this. I wanted more. I wanted more. I needed more. I needed to be successful for myself. Fear is manifested in our minds. Hi, I'm Scott Binsack, and thank you for joining me. Tonight, I'm going to be discussing Ebola, force-feeding your fears. Take a deep breath. Is there a mass outbreak of Ebola in the United States? No. And to be frank, I'm sick and tired of the media shoving it down our throats that there is, as well as the government. They're feeding on our fears. And fear is manifested in our own minds, as I've discussed in other shows. Let's get the facts straight about Ebola. And there are many unanswered questions about Ebola, but the ones that I have found to be 100% correct are the following. A man with the virus became deathly ill and flew into the United States. A man that, after doing some research, really didn't belong in the United States, so that raises some questions, yes. However, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. So he gets sick. The people treating him, and there was poor handling by medical professionals at the Dallas hospital that treated him. Very clear facts. The CDC should have been treating him, not your average American healthcare worker. This disease, as I've posted with this show, is patented by the United States as a weapon of mass destruction. Proven fact. No conspiracy, proven fact. A weapon of mass destruction. That is what Ebola is. Ebola is not just some simple virus like HIV, as everybody is sort of saying, that you have to be in blood contact. So, people who came in contact with this man, medical professionals, got it. Another nurse, and she was supposed to be quarantined, and she got on a plane and flew across the U.S. and she did not show symptoms on the plane. And in order to get Ebola, even though you may have it in your system, you have to be showing the symptoms for it to be contagious. Fact. So, she is now in quarantine, and as of today, doing well and being treated. Another medical personnel from the Dallas hospital, who also came in contact with this man, has now tested positive as well for the Ebola virus. However, these are the only cases in the United States. There is not a mass outbreak. Not everybody who coughs has Ebola. It's not an outbreak. An outbreak is something that is like an epidemic. Is it a world epidemic, this virus? Yes. Is it an outbreak in the United States? No. But you're being led to believe that it is. One thing I've learned to control in my life is fear. I've been through it all. I've seen the worst. And I know that fear can control you and will control you. And I know that the media and the government during an election period, as well as the government that our United States is in serious financial duress, is playing on those fears. And there are many facts out there that can support many theories around why Ebola was brought to the United States by President Obama. And it's a serious question to ask yourself. Why did we allow and bring patients into the United States when the United Kingdom has the same cure as we do? Why didn't they go there? Why did they come to the United States? However, the mass hysteria that is happening in the United States because most of you, if not all, are feeding into the fears of this. I'm sure everyone watching this has some type of fear about this virus because it's a very serious disease. As I said, it's patented by the United States, and I've provided the patent number with this show on the blog, by the United States as a weapon of mass destruction. But the only cases in the United States are that of in Dallas. What's happening, you see people on planes and someone coughs, someone has a fever, they're panicking. Put them in isolation. Really? That's like being in a federal FEMA camp. They're slapping people in isolation because the possibilities out of fear. Fear, 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 fear. You're being fed. And you're being fed, and you're being fed, and you keep feeding into it. People are keeping their children out of school. Really? You should be more concerned about the flu. Last year, 15 pneumonia. Last year, 52,000 people died of the flu. Not Ebola. Is it out of control in Africa? Yes. Does that mean it's going to be out of control here? No. Not at all. Why are we letting flights in? It's a good question, Mr. President. Why are we allowing flights from countries that this disease is out of control? They say it's because they don't want to create mass hysteria, when in reality, mass hysteria is being created every moment that's going on now about this Ebola virus because conspiracy theorists and paranoid nut jobs are all over the internet and videos boasting that, this, or proclaiming that this is some massive government false flag. And it could be. It could be. Nut jobs have been proved to be right many, many times. But fact is, Ebola was brought to the United States. But the other fact is there's no outbreak. If you keep feeding into the media, and you keep feeding into this hysteria, as I want to call it, the fear will eat you alive. Like I said, people are keeping the children out of school. Nobody's going to want to travel. And guess what it's doing? It's tanking the stock market. And all of this fear is really what the powers that be want to happen. Is that a conspiracy theory? No, that's a fact. Because if the best way to control a mass is with fear, the thought of fear, the thought of something bad happening to you, a virus, nuclear war, and you are allowing them by your emotions to take control. Every day we lose rights in this country. And I know. I've been part of our great justice system that doesn't work. Okay? I've studied the law on my own for 15 years. And been very successful at it on my own, pro se. So, you're feeding in to the media. You're feeding into this. People are buying all kinds of things, storing up all kinds of food, worrying about all kinds of things. And disease has become a business. HIV, business. Cancer, business. Big Pharma makes lots of money, billions and billions of dollars, based on these diseases. It's also population control, a form of it. You all may not know this, but the biggest problem on this planet is population. Serious population. It just keeps growing and growing, and there's not enough resources to eventually handle this population. Trust what I tell you. And there are some, we'll say, powers that be, whack jobs, that believe creating a one world government and one world order and controlling the population. And again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. These are facts. Do I believe they're in everything? No, of course not. But they're there. And they believe that they can control the world and should control the world and have X amount of population. Wars. We create wars. It's big business. We create disease. It's big business. However, you cannot fall prey to this. You cannot live your life in fear of a virus or of nuclear war or of anything, really. And how I've conquered fears. We're going to die. The fact is, we're all going to die someday. You cannot live and feed into this hysteria. Do your homework. Relax. Deep breaths. The facts of this virus is it's very dangerous, yes. Could it go out of control? Of course it could. Has it? Not in the United States. Don't feed into this. Don't feed that fear. False evidence appearing real is the best definition of fear I've ever known, and the author of it and the quotator of it is unknown. False evidence appearing real. Common sense is the best thing for anyone to have. Many are lacking it. You can have all the intelligence and book smarts in the world, but if you have no common sense, even if we want to call it street smarts as well, you have nothing. Common sense. Common sense. Ebola is not in your backyard. If you worked in that hospital and treated this patient, different story. But that's an isolated case. There's not an outbreak. They are quarantining people all over the place. The airports now are security set up and all these things. Mass chaos. Do you see what's happening here? And it's all because people are being fed. It's like advertising. You see a Big Mac, you want it. You see Ebola, this person, they show you images of it and people dying and vomiting all over the place and saying all this. That's what they're feeding you. Should you protect yourself and your family? Of course, we all should always protect ourselves. But you can't live every day in paranoia and fear. It will eat you alive. It will consume you. I've discussed this in many shows. And it sickens me to see how the government can slap something on mass media and people are just like, they're sheep. They're sheep. Oh, okay, really? Okay, this is great. Oh my God, we're going to die. Ebola's going to be in my backyard. I got to store up water, salt, and this. And people are selling you this crap on the internet and people are buying it. You got to stock up on this and, you got to stock up on sea salt. It's going to be the most thing that's in need if Ebola strikes. People will be walking around like zombies within 3 weeks. No, not happening. Breathe. I'm going to tell you like it is. People say, Scott, what makes you different to tell us? I have a genius IQ, and I've been through, I'm going to be 45, self-made millionaire 3 times. I failed miserably in my life over and over, learned the hard way, gotten up, but I've also predicted and consulted very, very wealthy individuals. People see me doing home improvements and other things and being a builder, but I also am a major consultant to some heavy-duty players, big players, because I have common sense, where a lot of people with even Harvard degrees lack common sense. And I have an incredible, I don't know, my mind works like a computer. So just like a bowl, I take in all these facts, and I've also studied finance, world wars, how our banking system, the Federal Reserve, and everything work. It's just like people go and see them on Facebook. It's your vote. Change your vote. I'm going to explain something to you rationally and logically. Your vote is really meaningless. Presidents are selected. Presidents are puppets. They're puppets. And the 3 presidents that have not been puppets that squeaked in there, Lincoln, dead, assassinated. Kennedy, dead, assassinated. Reagan, attempted assassination several times. Serious, true fact. Not conspiracy, fact. So you can discuss all this till you're blue in the face. But until people stand up and do something about it and stop living in fear, you're going to get nowhere. I watched as Egypt got rid of their president, as I'm sure most of you did on the world news, by Twitter. Twitter got rid of a president, overthrew a president by the masses showing up in front of the presidential palace in Egypt, and because of Twitter, that they even had to shut down the internet service in Egypt. That's how bad, because people stood up. I know what I'm saying seems crazy, but it's not. People have lost what they stand up for and what their principles are in the United States because they're fed all of this. This is madness. The world's gone mad. And the powers that be, and they're there, trust me. Even the WHO, the World Health Organization. Do you know who backs the WHO? These are some very serious players. Even the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, Federal Reserve. I know people go around and say, oh, these people on the internet are talking about it. It's fact, though. Most people think the Federal Reserve is a government bank. I've been in front of the Federal Reserve. Do you know where the Federal Reserve is? Grand Cayman. And one thing I know is offshore banking. I've been doing it for 20 years. I know it well. I've lived outside this country. I've owned businesses outside this country. I not invest outside this country. And I know all about the Federal Reserve. And our banking rights in the United States are being taken away every day. And the banks own you. They'll never own me, not in the United States, not anywhere. The Federal Reserve is a privately held corporation. And they own us. Interest rates, they own us. Our money is worthless. And bringing up Ebola brings up some serious questions as this. Ebola seems to be coming into the United States at a crucial time when there's one, an election coming up. Two, our country's in such financial disaster that something needs to be done to tank the dollar. Other countries have stopped using, fact, not conspiracy, have stopped using the American dollar as currency for trading for oil, for the purchase of oil. Russia, China, Iran, France. I mean, several of them are all going to their own currencies. And you say, oh, it's only Russia and China. No, they're big players. China is really the superpower, not us, financially. And Russia's got its own massive superpower as far as reserves, as far as its natural resources. Nothing to mess around with here. You should be more concerned about losing your life savings than Ebola. Understand what I tell you. Don't feed into this, because the facts are true. There's one little isolated incident of this. Now people are being quarantined. Simple, poor people coming off planes that are sneezing and may have a cold are being quarantined. People are stopping to fly on airplanes. This causes airplane stock to drop. There's panic in the stock market. Don't you see this whole big picture? And in reality, there's 3 people right now in the United States that I know of, or anybody that have been factually proven at this moment to have Ebola. 3! 52,000 died of the flu last year. 52,000. 3 people got Ebola and the whole world's a mess. The whole United States is a mess. Are there serious questions to be answered? That I agree. And I put some of them up here. One of the key things about Ebola is people keep saying, and I see it all over Facebook and on the internet, it's not an airborne virus. Wrong. Wrong. Ebola mutates. In other words, for each host, us, our DNA changes it. So every person that comes in contact with an Ebola and gets Ebola, it mutates and it changes. As such, our government has known this, and I've put up the factual truth of this. Nova did a special back in the 80s about an experiment gone bad with Ebola in Virginia. And it was just left behind. Nobody really paid any attention to it. Stacy Keach was actually the narrator. 400 monkeys. And they did this test on the monkeys with the Ebola virus, and it went bad. It went real bad, and these documents became unclassified, and nobody did a special about it. Nobody really paid attention to that special, and now, with what's happened recently with Ebola, people were paying attention to it. And now, strangely, I just watched it on the internet 24 hours ago, and there was a link put up with this show. It's gone. YouTube says it's been taken down because of too many copyright infringements reports. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidence because it's very clear what happened with these 400 monkeys. And I did put up another link to some documented proof that Ebola is airborne. So they had these 400 monkeys, and they were running these tests, and there was two labs, one on one side of the hall and one on the other side of the hall. Probably 200 monkeys in each, I don't know. And they were testing the virus, and they came in one day, and they saw that the first set of monkeys, and these are sealed containment labs with these monkeys in them. These are not like the doors are sealed, so you have to go in, you go through a chamber, and you get sealed, and you're in there. And this is right on U.S. soil. So the first set of monkeys was given the virus. A couple of X amount of them were given the virus in different forms of it. And then, boom, they came in. All those monkeys had Ebola. They all had it. Okay, wonderful. That's in the one lab. However, the air ducts took this virus and brought it into the other lab. And all those monkeys had it that were never given it. Fact. The United States has a patent on this as a weapon of mass destruction. The proof is up on my blog. You need to ask yourself some serious questions here. Don't play into these fears. Because if Ebola was a mass outbreak, you'd be seeing people all over the place having it. But to just instill the fear by media and by people feeding into it and writing garbage on the internet and their personal theories of their paranoia about it, people feed into this from their own fears, and so you can't be consumed by it. You just can't. Don't consume yourself with it. We create and manifest fear in our minds, and they know this. Don't play into their fears. Is it very serious? Is Africa very serious? Yes. Africa got a serious population problem? Yes. Lots of problems in the world. But don't, out of fear, affect your family in a way that is not healthy, because living in fear is not healthy in anything, in relationships, in your job, in your business, and going to work every day and getting up. Go be concerned, yes. I mean, be concerned, but it's like everything's gone hysterical over this. Sad, very sad how easily people can be misled instead of simply looking at the facts. It's like rumors. It's like Google. People see one thing on Google or on the internet and they believe it and buy it. I see people all the time sharing. I see it about fruits. Oh, this fruit can cure cancer. Now, when you do your homework on it, and they share it all over the place, thousands and thousands of shares. This fruit will cure cancer. If you do your homework on it and really look, it's the seeds of the fruit, of this one particular fruit that I'm talking about, that cure the cancer, been proven to cure some types of breast cancer. Not the fruit, the seed. But some idiots advertising it as the fruit to get you to buy the pill, the supplement for that, and people are paying for it and being misled. It's a fraud. It's really a fraud, as Ebola is being perpetrated to you. So please understand this. And are there some serious questions? Yes, and there's no coincidences in life. I don't believe in coincidences or luck. We create our own destinies by what we think and what we do. Don't be losing sleep over Ebola. Don't. Unless you've been in personal contact, like with someone. Now, Mr. President, stop the flights coming in. It's a serious question. And another point, our troops are being sent. Why are our troops being sent to Africa to battle Ebola? Really? Troops can battle Ebola? And a recent article, good article actually, from a good source, states they're getting 4 hours of training on Ebola, but being sent into areas where thousands have Ebola and are dying. Really? And why are we there? Those are the questions you need to be answering yourself and standing up for the people that you love that are American citizens, troops, being sent into harm's way. Now that's harmful. Now they have a serious chance of getting Ebola. And why are we sending them there? Really, Mr. President, why are we? And why are we still accepting flights? You are bringing and have brought Ebola here. But is it a mass outbreak? No. But just enough to stir you. Enough for the fear within to be forced down your throat. Don't accept it. And now, as I posted the other day, October 14th, the president signed an order to call up the reserves, the National Guard, to battle Ebola and place these troops in certain areas. Kind of frightening. Really? We need the National Guard? Probably, possibly because we've created mass hysteria out of fear about 3 people that have been infected with this and they're in quarantine. And maybe there's a couple more isolated cases there. So we need to call up the National Guard. But yes, the U.S. is calling. People are calling for it. People are calling, protect us before we get the virus. Really? Next, it'll be the Walking Dead. We'll all be walking around with the Walking Dead. I don't believe that. I believe this is a fear factor, and people are playing right into it, into the government's hand and into politics, the big game of politics to get your vote, as well as to take some more rights from you. And people are calling this a possible false flag operation. If people don't understand what a false flag operation, that's when the government conducts war games, so to speak, and creates false situations, as they claim 9/11 was, to see how it plays out and how they would handle the situation. It's a false flag. Could it be? Could be. Who put this man on a plane and let him fly all over the U.S., as sick as he was, and finding out he didn't even belong in the U.S.? Do you know that? If you check the evidence, it's there, the facts. So there are some strange happenings that warrant more further investigation. But also don't get caught up in the paranoia or the conspiracy theories either. Look at the facts. Use common sense. Don't be taking your children out of school. Worry about the flu. That's another virus that kills people. And it does. Do I think you should get vaccinated? I'm not a big person on vaccinations. I don't believe in vaccinations, to be honest with you. I believe they're giving you more things within these vaccinations than the cure for what the disease they're trying to treat. So you really have to ask yourself these questions. Don't go out buying all this stuff that they're telling you to. Iodine, this thing, silver 7, liquid silver, and all this garbage to fight Ebola. And they're taking your money. They're taking your money and you're feeding into it. Pay attention, but don't lose sight of really what's happening. and do your homework. Don't be glued to CNN and Fox and feed into everything they feed you. There's tons of alternative, solid news sources on the internet. You just don't go off one. And as I was saying, you can't go off one thing on the internet, on Google or something else that that tells you something about someone or something. Do more homework. But people are so in tune just to believe what they're fed. And they go off of this. They live on this. The government loves this. Elections, they love this. They put stuff right before your face. That's why I don't even watch CNN and Fox. I don't. Or ABC. I don't. Plus, there's nothing but horrible things going on in the world that they show you. There's very few that they show you happiness and beauty in the world. The world has become a very dark place. And it's very sad. And because it's about greed and power. And people are being manipulated every day. Those are fact. That's a fact. Don't be a sheep and feed into this stuff. Always protect your family, but don't feed into the rhetoric. Don't do it. I've learned to overcome fear in my life. And if you can overcome fear, you will get an inner peace, because we manifest our fears in our head. So we have to face ourselves to overcome those fears and understand what's real and what's not real. Now, danger is a different story. Danger is much different than fear. Danger will create fear. In other words, the fight or flight. So if you're in a bank and someone starts to rob, you're in danger. Different story. But you're not in danger of Ebola. Stop playing into it. Start asking and start standing up to do things like stopping flights from other countries with Ebola patients, bringing them to the United States. The United Kingdom has the same cures we do. And the cures aren't working, by the way, in many cases in Africa. And Big Pharma is making lots of money on this, billions of dollars. Next thing, possibly they're going to be telling you everybody in the U.S. has to be vaccinated with this stuff. They don't even know if it works. Don't get vaccinated with this crap. God knows what's in it. Look what they feed you in your food every day, the FDA allows. Look at other countries that doesn't have an FDA and how good their food is and how healthy their societies are. So there's a lot to all of this. But again, remember what I told you. Population is the biggest problem on this planet. And don't think your government would never do anything to harm you, because if they believe it's in your best interest, as the CIA and these dark operations believe, if it's in the best interest of the people, they will do it. And they will create wars, and they'll create havoc and hysteria if they believe they would have better control over the people and it's better for society. If they believe. And that's no conspiracy, this is straight facts. Take care of yourselves and your family, but don't lose control. Good night, and God bless.